Hello from Broadhurst Park, the home of FC United. If you've joined us from the Manchester is Red podcast, thanks for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. We're here tonight ahead of FC United playing Vinsky, a Parisian team in the FENIX Trophy, the third year of the FENIX Trophy, FC United's third year here. It is a European tournament for fan-owned clubs, essentially, or clubs with a special kind of interest in Europe. So the Parisian side tonight are essentially, they've been described to me as a Parisian #United. FC United, we all know their relevance. They've been big in this competition from the get-go as a fan-owned club. They won this competition in the first year. Last year, they were beaten, somewhat surprisingly, in the semi-finals, but still played the third and fourth place playoff in the San Siro, an incredible experience for FC United. A few hundred FC United fans in the San Siro. So an interesting and a special tournament. And while Manchester United may not be in Europe for the second half of this season, FC United still are. I'm joined now by Leo Aliotta from Brera FC, the club who founded the FENIX Trophy. Taking a break from it this year, but Leo is still heavily involved in the organisation. We're into the third year now of the FENIX Trophy. Leo, how have you seen its growth over the last 3 years? Is it as big as you expected it to be?
Well, I say it's exceeding the expectations, because when we started in 2020 with 8 clubs and a lot of uncertainty, because it was in the second wave of the COVID pandemic, so we were not even sure we would start. To be here after 3 years with more clubs, and in total we involved 20 clubs. I wasn't expecting this, and I'm looking to increase the number as we keep on going. So I think it's amazing.
So what we have here is a European football competition, but for teams outside of league football. But we wanted to know, how on earth did they come up with that concept? And how does it work?
Non-professional football is considered a layman version of professional football. And in a way, non-professional football clubs don't have a reference model to look up to. And the driving idea we had was that non-professional football and professional football, they look alike, just like a tiger and a cat, but they're not the same. They may pertain to the same species, but they are very different. And if you feed a cat a lot, it doesn't become a tiger, it just becomes a fat cat. So we wanted to find clubs that, just like FC United of Manchester now, they are playing in the 7th division in England. If they were playing the 5th, in the 9th, it wouldn't matter the identity of the club, the essence of the club. So we found the models of club very different, very diverse, because we don't want to show just a one-sided model. We're not saying like fan ownership is important, but it's not the only thing that matters, for instance. We look for clubs that are actively using their activity in non-professional football to create some added value, to create a community around them, to in a way, not just do football for football's sake. It's important to have an awareness of the importance of football, of the effect that it can have, not just on the 22 people playing, but also on the surroundings, the coaches, the managers, the fans and everything. But it shouldn't be, especially in non-professional football, all about the football result.
So the beauty of the FENIX Trophy is that it's not just about creating the biggest, most successful football team. It's about bringing teams together who have a story, who have a community, and bringing them to compete, make friends, not millionaires. So we thought it'd be a great idea to catch up with the matchday secretary, Adrian Seddon, who can tell us a bit more about the logistics of a non-league football team competing in Europe.
It was 2021 when we were approached by the Italian team saying they had this ideal about a European Cup for semi-pro and amateur teams. We weren't allowed out the house at the time. We were under lockdown conditions. I thought they were mad at first, but the more we looked at it, the more we thought, actually, this stacks up. And as a club, FC United, since we've been formed, we've tried to go away in Europe every year, because our fans were active Manchester United following fans who used to go away in Europe, and that's probably the thing that they missed the most about walking away from Old Trafford. They certainly didn't miss the sterile atmosphere that you get often at Old Trafford these days. It was the European trips. So we've had some great occasions over the years. We've played at the Olympic Stadium in Stockholm. We've played San Pauli. We've been to America to play Detroit. But what we hadn't done is play a competitive game. They were friendlies, and they're great. They're fun, end of season friendlies. But this offered us a structured, competitive edge to playing away in Europe. So that's what really appealed to us. Playing like-minded teams, getting to travel around Europe, learning from those clubs, making new friendships. But at the end of the day, there's a trophy to be won. As a club, we have to pay for our flights, and then it's the host club that pays for the hotels. So yeah, it's not easy. Sometimes not every player can take time off, and at times, yeah, we bought flights for players, and then they get injured a week before the game, and as a non-league team, we can't afford to suddenly pay 500 quid to change a flight at a week's notice. So our kit man, who's played Manchester League level, he always comes, and away from home, he's actually ended up on the bench at most of our away games this year and come on. So, that's the sort of thing you have to do to make it work, but we make it work.
We're doing this on a day when the Premier League have given approval for Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment into United. That's obviously a talking point still at this club. You mentioned your own links to Manchester United. A lot of people here are Manchester United fans who moved away in 2005. Is that kind of a talking point now that Glazers are going? What's kind of the feeling around the club?
We were the original protest, I think, for what happened back in 2005. I think we still remain a relevant protest today. We're still a welcome house for Manchester United fans who don't feel they can go to Old Trafford. Now, for some, it's because they've been priced out of Old Trafford. For others, it's because they disagree with Glazers. For others, because they can't afford. They don't like the fact that games are changed at very short notice. If you're a parent now with 2 or 3 kids, can you afford to take them? There's a lot of reasons why people can't go to Old Trafford, and we remain as the alternative. But we are a protest against the Glazer regime. Every year that we play, we remind everyone that there is a protest against the Glazers. Ratcliffe has come in, but he's only bought a minority share. The Glazers still there. The Glazers aren't going anywhere, I don't think, for any time soon, because of the money that they're able to make. It's not because they love Manchester United, we know that. It's because of the money they can make. So the problems we had with the Glazers remain relevant today. The debt's still there. The stadium's still falling to pieces because there's no investment in the stadium, and the Glazers are going nowhere. I think if you ask people who they would have preferred, the Qataris or the Glazers, I think it's the least bad deal as far as we're concerned for Manchester United, but it's not the best deal, it's the least bad, and I think that says a lot, and that's why we still remain relevant to Manchester United fans today.
So with all that, and the fact that you can follow a team like FC United, a non-league team, in a European competition, how does that affect younger fans? Is there an appetite for Premier League clubs, or is this club much more appealing?
I've always supported him since I was really young. My dad was a massive fan, and so my mum was a quite a big fan, so I've always followed them. Yeah, there's never really temptation to watch United because you can always watch that on TV, but you feel like you're a part of it, and you feel like you're an actual supporter instead of being a person who's owned by the Glazers or whoever owns Man City and things.
I think there's a tactileness to it. There's a kind of texture to it. You come to these grounds, and I know most people by face in this place by now. There's something familiar to that. It's visceral. The atmosphere is obviously right on top of the pitch, and there's a community to it as well. And people doing things for the right reasons, and people doing things because they can do it, which I guess is the beauty of the FENIX Trophy as well. But a real kind of DIY punk ethos of we don't like the way it's being done elsewhere, so just do it ourselves.
And that is the beauty of non-league football. It's punky, it's community driven, everybody mucks in, and we just get on with it and do it ourselves. And to be able to support a team and go into a European competition must be so mouth-watering for local supporters, and it must attract more supporters as well, seeing foreign teams coming here to Manchester away from the Giants, as well as being able to travel to Europe. But before we finish, we wanted to speak to the manager. We wanted to hear, what is it like managing a team at non-league, especially when you find out you're going to be competing in Europe?
I mean, is it still a pinch yourself moment when you're leading FC United to Poland, when you're going to these places and playing these games? It's pretty surreal still, isn't it?
I mean, I just literally goosebumps run up my back when you said it then, and whether or not you've got to, when you talk rhyming off the place we've been to, Poland, Rimini, Belgium, Milan, playing the San Siro, Paris, it's coming up, Krakow, it's staggering that some of these places that we get the opportunity to visit as non-league footballers, and when we saw the draw come out, and 2 places that I was desperate to go to was Krakow and Paris. We're getting them both in our group, so yes, we're going to entertain the Paris side tonight, but then we get the opportunity to go out there and see the culture and experience the culture, but also give a chance for our fans to go and travel to places that they've been before in European football with Manchester United, but now they're doing it for an FC United, so you never take it for granted. It's a spectacular competition. And the amount of funding that's going into it now, the amount of the exposure that it's getting, it's incredible. I'll never forget when Adrian said to me, how would you fancy managing FC United across Europe? And I didn't know what to expect. And now we're in our 3rd year, and we're going to be into our 4th year next year. So it's a unique opportunity, and one that I'm immensely proud of doing. We're not just here to make up numbers. The competition's about making friends, not millionaires, celebrating fan-owned football, but it's also, when you cross that white line, about wanting to win. And we didn't take it lightly, not winning the competition last year. We don't have a divine right. Well, this year we want to come back with a bang and win it.
Charlie Munro to the edge of the box. Munro! 4-1. And all of a sudden, the scoreline rather flatters FC.
That's full time at Broadhurst Park. FC United 4-1 winners against Vinsky from Paris in the FENIX Trophy, the European competition about making friends off the pitch. But it seems no one told the players. A very physical, very entertaining game here tonight. As much entertainment as the Champions League probably had to offer. FC United 1-0 down at half-time. Vinsky's only attack eventually pulled it back to 1-1. 2 players sent off, one for either side after the goal for a bit of scrapping in the goal mouth. Vinsky, incredibly physical team. Their coaching staff complained about virtually every decision. Somehow managed to keep 10 men onto the pitch in the end. FC United missed a penalty at 1-1 with 5 or 6 minutes to go and still ran out 4-1 winners in the end. I think the fitness and the physicality sort of showed in the end, and Vinsky ran out of legs, but a very entertaining game. 2 wins from 2 for FC United in the group. They've got the Dragoons from Krakow here in a couple of weeks, and then a return trip to Paris. So stay across FC United social channels for updates on the FENIX Trophy. Stay across our social media channels for more features like this. Do let us know in the comments what you made of this. If you're tempted to come and attend an FC United game, a FENIX Trophy game. And that's all for now. We'll hand you back to the studio, and we'll see you soon.